Tales for Dark Nights.
It's time to turn off the lights and turn on the dark.
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights.
Good evening, and welcome to Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. I'm your host this evening, Steve Taylor. What follows is a tale of false lives, old betrayals, and the terrible cost of remembering who and what you really are. Settle in and dim the lights. The show is about to begin. Before we get to tonight's feature, however, we'd like to thank our dedicated supporters in the Chilling Tales for Dark Nights patrons area. For just $7.99 per month, members receive ad-free listening, early access to new episodes, exclusive content, and our complete archive, with discounted annual options available as well. Your support helps us continue producing the immersive horror experiences you've come to expect, bringing sinister stories, unforgettable performances, and sleepless nights to listeners around the world. To learn more or become a member, visit chillingtalesfordarknights.com. Thank you for helping us keep the darkness alive, one nightmare at a time. Tonight's tale is written by W.B. Stickle, with production by Jeff Sturdivant. It's a story that begins in darkness, confusion, and pain, with a man awakening under a merciless spotlight, bound to a chair, surrounded by strangers who seem to know far more about him than he knows about himself. But what begins as an already brutal interrogation soon spirals into something far stranger and far more terrible. Without further delay, I present to you, from author W.B. Stickle, as performed by Nicholas Goroff, Everything in Its Rightful Place.
The sound of laughter plucked Steve Holbrook from a deep slumber. "What?" he murmured as his mind labored to process his abrupt transition from dream to reality. "What's happening?"
"What's happening?"
Someone parroted back to him in a childlike voice, a voice clearly intended to mock his confusion.
"Oh, dearie me, I don't understand."
The jibe elicited a fresh round of laughter from what sounded like dozens of people. Ignoring it and them, Holbrook concentrated on opening his heavy eyelids. As they fluttered open, someone switched on a bright spotlight and aimed it at his face, blinding him. "Christ!" he exclaimed, looking away. He attempted to move his arms and legs, but neither set of appendages budged. Wondering why, he glanced down at himself and observed that he was sitting in a wooden armchair, naked as a newborn. He couldn't move because his arms and legs were bound to the chair with those hefty zip ties that cops sometimes use on unruly suspects. Seeing them sent rivulets of fear shooting down his spine. "What in the blue fuck is this?" he uttered. He tried to scan his surroundings, but the spotlight consumed his senses. "And where the hell am I?" Two massive suited figures moved in towards him from the shadows and began pummeling his body with anvil-sized fists. "You're where you're supposed to be, dipshit," the bigger one of the two said. He had an accent Holbrook couldn't quite place. New York, maybe? Or Chicago?
"Think of it as your coming-out party,"
said the other man. More laughter erupted from the darkness beyond the spotlight. "It's been a while," said a third man in a much deeper voice. The two attackers simultaneously ceased their assault and retreated to the shadows. We were beginning to think we might never find you. Pain riddled Holbrook's body. He coughed up blood. I don't understand, he sobbed, baffled as to why he was zip-tied to a wooden chair in what might have been an abandoned warehouse. It was like something out of Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. What did I do to you? A scraping noise issued from somewhere in the dark. Holbrook squinted in its general direction and saw a slender, olive-skinned man with black, slick-backed hair and an expertly tailored suit sliding a metal chair across what sounded like carpet. This man stopped a few feet away from Holbrook and sat down in the chair. In his hand, he held a small card, which he promptly held out in front of him. Driver's license for one Stephen M. Holbrook, said the deep-voiced guy. 40 years old. 347 Elkwood Lane, Phoenix, Arizona. Organ donor. Corrective lenses. Sound about right, Stevie boy? Unsure how to respond, Holbrook simply nodded. Deep voice guy smiled. I understand you're a software developer, married with a young son, and you run a local charity for the homeless. Yes, Holbrook timidly answered. Deep voice guy flung the card away. You're quite the method actor. It's like you actually believe it. The bigger of the two brutes from before reappeared and delivered another ham fist to Holbrook's face. Like you already didn't have enough alter ego, Steve-O! Mikey, Deep Voice said, go easy. Swooning from the blow and freely bleeding from his head, Holbrook forced his chin up and glowered at the thug named Mikey. His fear suddenly left him, replaced by a red-hot, molten anger. Stop hitting me, he shouted. I don't know what the fuck any of you are talking about. Mikey just grinned at him. Look, Steve, Deep Voice said. Things are happening right now. Critical things that are important to both of our families. And as much as some of us would love to draw this out, we really ought to get down to business. Holbrook coughed several times and spat a mouthful of blood onto the floor. Deep Voice smirked. I'll admit, going into hiding the way you did was an impressive feat. Ultimately futile, but impressive all the same. Why, your own people were just as baffled as we were. I mean, anytime anyone got close, he snapped his fingers. You became someone new. Quite the slippery snake. Holbrook shook his throbbing head, still not getting it. You make it sound like I'm Jason Bourne, which I'm definitely not. We know, Mikey said. It was just a pious little nobody who can't remember anything before the plane crash. It's called amnesia, dipshit, Holbrook fired back. And you got it wrong. I don't even remember the crash. I remember waking up in the Mariposa County Hospital. Anything prior to that is gone. My guess, Deep Voice said, continuing his previous thought, is that you could have gone on hiding endlessly if you desired, but part of you wanted to be found. Part of you knew it was time to come home where you're meant to be. The circus needs its ringleader, Mikey agreed. Somewhere behind the spotlight, a door opened and closed, and footsteps clicked their way towards Holbrook and Deep Voice. Everything sorted? The new party asked, coming into the light. He was a handsome, well-dressed man, like Deep Voice. In one hand, he carried a small black case. The boys and I were just having a little fun, said Deep Voice. New party cocked his head at Holbrook. You've been a royal pain in the ass, you know that, right? Holbrook offered a non-committal shrug. If you say so. I do, insisted New Party. Out of curiosity, who are you this time? Holbrook's bloody lips twitched in a feeble attempt to smile. Are you asking me my name? I am, New Party said. It's Steve, Holbrook replied. Oh, don't be a sourpuss, Deep Voice chided. His taken name is Stephen Arthur Holbrook. Proud husband and father of one. Software nerd who runs a charity. New Party arched his considerable eyebrows. You don't say. Any chance he's a plane crash survivor? We were just discussing that, Deep Voice said. He's a god-honest soul survivor. With trauma-based amnesia, added Mikey. New Party cantered forward, bringing himself eye level with Holbrook. Another in a long line of other do-gooders. What was it last time? A missionary in Peru? And before that, a doctor in Tunisia? A priest in Russia? A teacher in Mexico? And so forth and so on. Deep Voice rose from his chair. It's almost like you thought you could make up for your betrayal. Is that what you were doing? Asked New Party. Trying to get back in the boss's good graces? Holbrook scowled up at the man. You assholes listen to me. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not part of your mafia or whatever this is. Just a guy trying to do right by his family. That's it. Your family? New Party said, bemused. And who would that be? Wife, Mary, and son, Louis. Deep Voice chimed in. The way he said their names made it sound like they were part of an inside joke. That's correct, Holbrook said. You motherfuckers better not have harmed either one of them. And if we did, countered Deep Voice. A caustic expression gripped Holbrook's face. I will torture and murder all of you, and anyone you care about. Oh, there he is, Mikey bellowed. There's my guy. More laughter erupted from the small crowd. The rage coursing through Holbrook's body made him want to disembowel every last one of them. Unfortunately, the zip ties nullified any hope he had of pulling off such a fantastical stunt. With this heavy in mind, he compartmentalized the rage and forced himself to calm down. Tell me they're okay, he said evenly, and I'll do anything you want me to do. New Party set the case he was holding on the ground and clapped his hands together twice. Instead of that, how about this? A few seconds later, Mikey and his brawny partner dragged what looked like a pair of mannequins out of the shadows. They dropped the mannequins, one adult size, the other much smaller, on the ground that lay between Holbrook and Mr. New Party. Someone beyond the spotlight angled it down so Holbrook could see what they'd brought him. It was Mary and 7-year-old Louis. Their eyes were open and both of their necks had clearly been broken. No! Holbrook cried, bucking hard against his restraints. Why? They didn't do anything to anyone! Why? Said New Party. Because these pets were not yours to have, Steve. Their deaths are on your hands, not ours. You did that. Me? Holbrook roared. Fuck you! I loved them. Oh, God. Louis. Mary. I'm so sorry. Yes, you, Deep Voice told him. I mean, yes, Mikey did the physical neck snapping, but only because your actions forced him to. Holbrook stared at the dead bodies and wept freely. Remember anything yet? New Party asked. Like what? Holbrook cried. What the fuck am I supposed to remember? Who you are and what you're doing here, Deep Voice said. You'd better kill me while you still can, Holbrook mewed. Because if I get out of this chair, I'm going to make it bad for every last one of you. Yes, go with that, New Party encouraged. Let that lead you home. Holbrook sensed a spark flickering somewhere in his brain, and with the spark came a measure of understanding. Home, he said, the thread of it just out of grasp. Deep Voice looked at New Party questioningly. Should we let him get there on his own? New Party consulted his wristwatch. Not enough time, I'm afraid. We have a schedule to keep and we're getting down to the wire. Give him a nudge. Deep Voice nodded and placed a palm on Holbrook's bare thigh. A tremor passed between them and a flood of memories rushed into Holbrook's head. How's that, Louis? New Party asked. Louis, the man who had been Holbrook echoed. That's good, New Party chuckled. Yeah, I thought it curious that you named your son Louis. Louis, whose real name was Lucifer, glanced down at the boy's lifeless body. The grief he'd been feeling floated away like a passing stench. I got careless. Happened in Tunisia, too. He peered up at New Party. Took you long enough, didn't it? New Party smiled. Half a century. Barely a blink. Deep Voice clasped his hands together. I have to ask you, Lulu. Been dying to ask you. Did you honestly believe any of this would win you any sort of favor? Lucifer sneered, remembering all the false skins he'd adopted after immersing himself in humanity. Yes, he hissed, the zip ties binding his arms and legs devolving into ash. I need to go home. New Party smiled at the Morning Star. Let's be clear, brother. No matter what you do, you will never be welcomed back. Do you understand? You weren't a mistake. He doesn't make those. You were created for a purpose. Lucifer meditated on that for a length before nodding. Deep Voice nodded as well. Did you honestly not realize this until just now? Of course I knew, Lucifer growled. I was gifted with the truth shortly after the first war. The universal balance and all that. Ooh la la, Deep Voice said. You must be one important motherfucker, huh? We are all important. Lucifer said, tapping his foot on the concrete flooring. Hang on, I know this one. That's it, Lulu, Deep Voice said. You can do it. More knowledge flooded Lucifer's immense psyche, evoking a slight grin. Rafa, he said. My little brother Rafa. Raphael beamed at his older brother. Nailed it. Like the carpenter to the cross, Lucifer quipped. No, Rafa. I thought perhaps if I showed remorse, he'd give my role to someone else. He closed his eyes for a moment, then he reopened them and shifted his attention to New Party. So, does this mean what I think it means, Gabe? Gabriel opened his black case, revealing a shimmering trumpet. He grasped the instrument in his right hand, and it seemed to become part of his body. It does. You're first in command did well enough in your absence, but we've only been able to go so far without you. He and Raphael turned away and joined the other figures in the dark. Only Michael remained. Lucifer stood and approached the Archangel. Mikey. Michael put a hand on his older brother's shoulder. All that stuff before. It was just for show. You know that, don't you? I do, Lucifer said. Though, a couple of those blows felt mighty familiar. Yeah, I've been holding on to those for a long time. I guess I just needed to get them out of my system. Lucifer rubbed his jaw. Mission accomplished. Michael snickered. Listen, we have to go do our thing, but I wanted to let you know I'm going to talk to the big guy for you. I've been thinking about it, and I'm going to volunteer to switch places. After your 1,000-year rampage is over, of course. Lucifer was genuinely surprised. Michael, don't say anything now, Michael cut in. We'll talk when everything is said and done. The two brothers stared at one another for a length. Then Michael was gone. Lucifer pondered his closest sibling's offer. He supposed only time would tell if it was a ruse or not. Wonders never cease, he said, and leisurely strolled to the opposite end of the structure they'd chosen for his awakening, where an open door awaited. A dozen paces past the door, he turned back to discover he'd been in an old abandoned church, surrounded by miles of desert. How quaint, he thought. He flicked his tongue, and it also turned to ash. Its destruction gave him no pleasure as it once might have. It was dark out, late evening. Above him, the sky was a purple bruise giving way to the black of night. Taking comfort in that, he panned across the desert in search of his followers. Amongst the cacti to his left stood a large group awaiting his arrival. He started towards them, and one, Beelzebub, broke away from the others to greet him. "You're back!" the archdemon said. "Yes," said Lucifer. Beelzebub simpered. The others grew animated. "Where have you been?" "That's my business," Lucifer said with finality. "I will say, you've done well in my stead. The strife around the world, the antipathy toward the so-called superpowers is palpable. Especially in America. Yes, I am very pleased." Beelzebub's expression brightened.
Thank you, Lord.
Lucifer surveyed the group of others and fixed his eyes on the gray-haired man standing in the back. "That one there. He's of particular interest to me." Beelzebub didn't bother to look.
Mr. Epstein? Yes, he's been quite the project.
"I have a special role for him,"
I thought you might, sire.
the demon said with pride. In the distance, a trumpet wailed. Above, the meteor called Wormwood shone brightly as it entered the atmosphere. Beelzebub squealed with delight.
A millennium! Is it here, at last?
"It is," Lucifer confirmed. "And T.S. Eliot was wrong. We're going to get started with a bang, not a whimper." The two fallen angels joined the rest of the group. After a quick speech to get everyone on the same page, Lucifer led them out of the desert and set his preordained plans into motion. All around the world, hidden nuclear missile silos began to open.
You've just heard Everything in Its Rightful Place, written by W.B. Stickle, performed by Nicholas Goroff, with production by Jeff Sturdivant. A grim and escalating descent into buried identity, infernal purpose, and apocalyptic consequence. This evening's story offered a brutal reminder that some truths do not liberate, they consume. And once unearthed, they leave very little behind but ash. We're proud to bring chilling performances like this one to listeners month after month, pairing dark fiction with talented narrators and immersive production to create the kind of nightmares that linger long after the final line. Leave us a comment wherever you're listening and let us know how we're doing. It means a lot to us. And if you haven't already, please consider following Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, leaving us a 5-star rating or review, and sharing the show with a fellow fan of the macabre. You can find even more terrifying tales at our free read-along horror fiction sister site, creepypastastories.com, and stay up to date with the Evil Idol voice acting competition and all our latest releases by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Memberships are available now at chillingtalesfordarknights.com, offering ad-free listening, early access, exclusive content, and our complete archive for just $7.99 per month with discounted annual options. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. And as always, thank you for spending part of your night with us. And now, fellow lover of the macabre, I'm afraid our evening together draws to a close. You've been listening to Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. Until next time, I'm your host, Steve Taylor, reminding you to turn off the lights and turn on the dark. Sweet dreams, listeners. Sweet dreams.